Hello, everybody! BeMetalways here. Welcome back to another weekly heavy metal album review. This week I'm reviewing YNGWIE MALMSTEEN Parabellum, released by Mascot label group on July 23rd, 2021. Now, of course, YNGWIE MALMSTEEN is a legendary guitarist and needs no introduction. He first became known in the 1980s for his neoclassical playing style in heavy metal and has since then released 21 studio albums in a career spanning over 40 years. Malmsteen is often cited among the greatest electric guitar players of all time. Additionally, he made a significant impact on many future power metal guitarists. From the first album, his band was always a very fast revolving door. Singers never lasted more than 2 albums in a row, and he had some amazing ones, which sometimes is unfortunately to see them go. The early albums are just great, but on the other hand, Malmsteen is one, if not the biggest ego in metal. So, since the 2 albums with Dougie White, he moved more and more to instrumental tracks and instrumental albums. He still had Ripper Owens singing some songs in 2 albums, but since then there have been compilations, either instrumental albums or with himself only singing. In his last album, Blue Lightning from 2019, he paid homage to those from the blues world who have fueled his artistic spirit, in contrast to the album Inspirations, who focused more on heavy and rock artists. I honestly wasn't interested or looking forward to this album, but decided to give it a try. So let's see what Parabellum has to offer. The album features 10 tracks, 6 of them being instrumentals, and 4 are sang by Malmsteen himself. The album title in Latin translating as Prepare for War, and there's also a track Sis vis pacem Parabellum, which translates as If you want peace, then prepare for war. There is no information if any other musicians were involved, so the conclusion is that it's 100% written, recorded, and produced by Malmsteen alone. The good news is that his singing abilities have improved remarkably, and he actually does a good job. Of course, he wrote the songs in a way that the singing is not very challenging, but it does work very well, so kudos to him. As a comparison, it resembles the albums with Doug White, in my opinion, the most, but with a writing style from the first record. So it's kind of a fusion of the first 3 records combined with the 2 albums with Dougie White. The highlights are the opening track, Wolves at the Door, and track number 3, Relentless Fury. Those are the highlights of the albums with lyrics and vocals. Now, as for the instrumentals, Presto Vivace in C sharp minor is absolutely my favorite track on the album. It's one of the coolest instrumental tracks I heard from him in a long time, and honestly one of the coolest of this year so far. It's much in line with Far Beyond the Sun. With just 3 minutes each, Toccata and Magic Bullet are short and fun instrumental tracks as well. And then we have God Particle, which is another highlight as it changes things a bit with this slower start, a mid-tempo song, some acoustic classical guitar, and this baroque, churchy vibe that it ties, of course, very well with the song title. There's also some background keyboards that stand out, giving the song a unique character within this album. Now, if I'm being picky here, I swear, when I first glanced at the track list, I thought track number 7 was named good practice, but it's actually God particle. But I think my made up mistake title exemplifies the album better than any other title. It's at this point he doesn't have to prove his guitar skills to anyone, but still the album is, as you may expect, an avalanche of notes at incredible high speed. So sometimes it feels like just a big exercise of a big guitar practice. It works well at times, but of course it gets tiring. So by the time we get to the 8-minute instrumental closer, Sea of Tranquility, my attention is really gone. Also, the penultimate track, Fight the Good Fight, which has vocals, is not that different from the two aforementioned sang tracks, so it's kind of expendable. Then the mandatory ballad Eternal Bliss, which is not that bad, but it is also not adding value in my opinion. That's the fourth track with vocals. So where does that lead us? Well, look, there's nothing new here. We all know he can play really fast and write catchy melodies. Parabellum is in many ways a callback to the first albums, but through a modern lens of the albums like Attack. I miss the keyboard dynamics of the early albums though. If you are a guitar player or a big old fan, this will be fun because it's a good album. But otherwise, it's more and a lot more of the same. On the bright side, it's with quality, so for those reasons and from my perspective as a guitar player, I give it 80 out of 100. Still a good album with a couple of nice songs with vocals and a handful of fun guitar tracks. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening and BeMetalways.